Hi there, welcome. I'm Joe Silva. This is the Ideal Small Biz Podcast. I also own Ideal Payroll Service, and our mission is local business success. And what that means is everything we do is to support the success of local small business. And that can be really anywhere. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. It can be here locally, or it can be a locally owned business anywhere across the country, anywhere across the globe. That is our mission, is to support local business success. Now, part of that, we're doing the Ideal Startup Series, where we talk all things about starting your business. Maybe you have an idea and you haven't taken any steps towards it. Maybe you have a micro business and you have one or two employees. Maybe you have a business that's been going for a while, but you're just stuck. All these things can be learned and lessons learned through our Ideal Startup Series about what you need to start and sustain your dream business. So that's what we're doing today. We have Jenny Alford on. Jenny has the company Davis & Company Designs, and she does some amazing things through her work with children's clothing and women's clothing that you'll find out about in our interview. But her story is amazing. She had a newborn, then she started planning her business, and then COVID hits, and then she navigated through all of that to where we are today. So she does some amazing things, some amazing partnerships that are from the heart and generous, that are really valuable for any of us watching and listening to learn from. So without further ado, let's dive right in and get to Jenny's story right now. All right, welcome. I'm Joe Silva. I own Ideal Payroll Service. I also host the Ideal Small Biz Podcast, and we're doing the Ideal Startup Series to share the stories of startup business owners. And that can be a micro business from 1 to 5 employees, or 0 sometimes, to a business of 10, 20, 50, whatever it is. Small business is small business, and it really drives the economy. So small business is so important to us. Our mission is local business success, and we want to share those stories of those startup businesses to help get them some exposure and promote and support business. So today I am joined with Jenny Alford of Davis & Company Designs. Jenny, thank you for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Why don't you give us a quick 90-second overview of your company and what you guys do, and then we'll dive into some of the details.
Perfect. So with Davis & Co., we do specialized clothing. So we do like children's clothes. We can do some adult clothing. And we're actually starting to branch out to doing a couple of wholesale items with like around the house stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
Cool. And when you say clothing and items, is that customized or specialized, like embroidery and things like that? Or maybe dive a little into that. What do you guys do specifically there?
So I don't do embroidery, but I do sublimation t-shirts, which is going to be like your graphic t-shirts and stuff like that. So pretty much any design that you can dream up, we can do it.
Awesome. And, we were talking a little bit before we started here, but your journey is an interesting one because you had a lot of prep, and then obviously
Right.
We're recording this in October of 2020, but we're still in the midst of COVID, but you started right around then. So maybe take us back to even before that. Take us back to your startup story, where things began. How did you think of this? Is this something you always wanted to do, or where were your origins come from with Davis & Company?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to own like a little boutique. I wanted to do like a brick and mortar, but you have to start somewhere. So I was a stay-at-home mom full time, and if you've ever been a stay-at-home mom, it's a lot of fun, but it's very draining. And I was looking for something to kind of take my mind away from being stuck at the house all day. So I had my daughter in November of 2019, and that's when we really started planning. And then we already had our set launch date for March 1st back in November. And so months and months of planning, of trying to figure out naming. And that was the biggest thing for us, was trying to name it. But yeah, so March 2020 hit, and then everything shut down. And then now everyone, of course, is starting their own business. So it's been a wild ride for sure. Definitely.
No doubt. You timed it around when these things are hit, without knowing these things are going to hit. So as far as back then, so let's go back to November, December of 2019. So you have your newborn. So congratulations on that, obviously. And then you're thinking, well, I just need something different to do. I need something more to do. What challenges did you face in between November and March that you maybe didn't anticipate? Or what was it? You mentioned naming, obviously, but what else, to tell us that story? How did you get around some of that stuff?
So it was really just learning. So I taught myself how to sew, and I have taught myself how to do everything. So really the hardest thing was just kind of learning everything and wanting to do everything the correct way the first time. And so that was frustrating. And then I also have two stepsons on top of my daughter. So just learning how to balance everything and juggle everything the correct way was probably the biggest downset, I guess, with just trying to figure everything out before we even got started. So that was fun.
For sure. Yeah. You've got those family obligations. Obviously, family comes first for
Right.
everybody, right? That's what
Oh,
we
yeah.
have to do. But at the same time, you've got this dream and this vision of what you want to do from a business side. So there's a balance there that many entrepreneurs out there can relate to and struggle with. How did you find that balance, Jenny? Did you, were you able to do it daily, or is it something where you had to block out time, specifically for the business, or how did you find that to start your company with 3 children in the house?
Right. So typically, when the kids would go to sleep, that was kind of my business time. And we have the boys every other week. We have my stepsons every other week. So it's easier, especially when a kid isn't as mobile. Can you still hear me? Sorry,
Yep. No, you're good. You're
okay.
good.
So, but especially when a child isn't mobile, it's a lot easier to do it that way. But yeah, even still, like balancing a full-time job plus being a full-time parent on top of running the business. So it's still a learning experience for sure every day. So
No doubt. No doubt. Would you time it any differently? Not talking about coronavirus, but, just having your daughter and then the business and then, you said full-time job and all this stuff. Would you do it any different, or did the experience teach you what you needed to know now to be successful?
It definitely has. It's taught me how to work in a timely manner. That's for sure. So utilizing all of my available time that I have whenever I'm not working or I'm not messing around with the kids or anything. So yeah, I wouldn't change it at all. It seemed like the worst possible time to start a business, but for my family, it was the perfect time.
I love that. And, you never know what's going to happen, right? Corona or
Right.
anything else, anything could happen. And honestly, anybody watching out there, if you're thinking of starting a business, really, look at Jenny, because Jenny, congratulations on what you've done. And I think it's important to highlight this, is that every excuse in the book, you had a newborn daughter, which is not easy. Anybody that's had a newborn, mobile or not mobile, that's not easy. You have 2 stepsons to care for. You've got a husband to care for. You've got a full-time job. You've got all these things happening, these moving parts. Then Corona hits. So if she can do it, which she has proven she can do it, then anybody dreaming out there can do it also. So congrats to you on what you've done so far, Jenny. So we've moved past the startup stuff. You've got all your ducks in a row, your proverbial ducks are in a row, and you're probably excited and ready to launch. And then boom, March hits. Corona hits.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Take us back to that time. What happened? Did you just put everything on hold? Did you plug forward? What was your strategy there?
No, we kept moving forward. I didn't expect it to blow up to begin with anyway, so it was kind of expected, and I don't know what I would have done if we had blown up to be huge. But yeah, no, it was just a learning experience, I think, with, not everything goes the way you can plan all day, but it isn't going to go the way you want it to. But yeah, no, it was interesting. We'll say that it was interesting. We just kept moving forward and, taking it day by day still. So
yeah, and that's the life of a small business owner and entrepreneur, is just to keep moving forward. Obstacles will get thrown at you, but you just got to plug on by. What's been your marketing strategy, Jenny? How are you finding your customers as a new business in a pandemic? How are you getting your new sales and your new customers and word out there for your business?
Right. So we operate a lot in the small shop world online. So we have reps that do they get a discount on products and they give us pictures for marketing and share a lot of our posts and stuff like that. So my reps are my biggest allies. Like, they are phenomenal. And so really we've done a couple ads on Facebook. We ran a couple ads that way. But really, it's really my reps. Like, I 100% would not be where I am today without them.
Nice. And so was that part of your business strategy in the beginning, or is that something you kind of
Yes.
came across later on?
No, so being part of the small shop world, I kind of saw that would be a route that I would definitely want to take. So yeah, that was day one. I already had that planned.
Nice. And so that has propelled you through, the initial hit of the pandemic, did
Right.
things go maybe as you thought it would, or did that still have an impact negatively or positively maybe on your business through the pandemic, or was it pretty much as you expected from before?
It's pretty much how I expected. My first month was of course slow, trying to build up a customer base and build up a good name for myself. So yeah, it was pretty much what we thought it would be with starting everything.
Nice, nice. Now you mentioned earlier that you had to learn some things like learn to sew and things like that. So did you have a background in anything that you're doing, or was this all brand new and you just wanted to take
It
on
was
something completely new?
it was all new. So I had, it was something that had always interested me. My grandmother used to sew all of my clothes whenever I was younger, and I knew that I wanted to do that for my daughter, was to be able to make her stuff, whatever she wanted. So no, but it was all very new. All very new. So that was for me probably the fun part about learning the business, was learning how to sew and make things and be proud of what I made.
That's awesome. And that's actually a recurring theme we've heard a few times, is that you've got to follow your instinct. You kind of had that calling to do something like that. You mentioned your grandmother, and that's really cool. That's really special that you're able to design a business around that. So
Right.
again, congrats on that. Um, so we're coming out, we're in October, we're still in the pandemic, but a little past some of the initial shock and awe and all that stuff. So where are you guys at now as far as, you're not quite a year in, but you're coming up kind of on a year from your initial planning stages? Are things from a small business operational standpoint, is it where you expected to be? What's the future hold for Davis and Company and where you want to go? Tell us a little bit about that, Jenny.
So month over month, we are improving quite drastically, which has been phenomenal for us and us as a family. I did have bigger plans for Davis and Co, but of course, life threw another curveball, and I had to start working full time. So I've had to back off just a little bit, and instead of having new products every week, it's now every other week, which hasn't been the worst thing in the world either. So, but yeah, no. Hopefully, by my goal by the 1 year mark is to have reached every state in the country, and if I can reach that by March 1st, that would be 100% my goal for my first year, and I would be extremely happy.
That's awesome. You're impacting people across the country and maybe across the world globally, if that's
Right.
available too. So that's really cool. Um, what would you say to somebody who's, watching this and they're just thinking, I have this idea and I want to start a business, but I'm not sure, they're a little scared after everything you went through, obviously, huge changes and things. What advice would you give to that person out there?
Just do it. I had, like you said, every excuse in the book. And whenever COVID hit, I was like, well, I don't know if I'm even going to start the business. Maybe this isn't going to be the best time or whatever, but just do it. Just take that leap of faith and start it, because you'll be surprised. You'll surprise yourself with the stuff that you do and accomplish.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you never know until you actually do it, and you will surprise yourself sometimes on
Yes.
what you can do
Yes.
and how to handle that. Um, Jenny, we got connected through our director of sales at Ideal Payroll, Tara Bound. So you guys have a special connection. She's got a really amazing cause that she is passionate about. So maybe touch on that and your connection with Tara and your background with her.
Yeah, so one of my reps actually got us in touch. It's Tara's cousin Rebecca, and so a little bit about Tara's story is that they lost their son unexpectedly a few years ago, and so they do everything in their power to kind of help out other women and empower other women, which is just phenomenal to me. And I heard about the story, and I wanted to help out in any way that I could. So we are doing, throughout the entire month of October, which is Infancy, Childhood, and Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month, we are making shirts, and 75% of the proceeds are going to Tara's Foundation honoring Riker. So that right there has put our name out there so much, and I didn't even expect that to happen. So knowing that we've been able to help her help people has been phenomenal for myself.
That's fantastic and very generous of what you're doing there. And Tara's got a great cause. We're going to have her on a follow-up episode, so there's going to be a 2-part episode. So stay tuned for Tara's story. We're going to dive into that on the next episode. But with what you're doing, Jenny, it's pretty amazing to see that those goodwill things that really can come back And the more, the more you put out there, the more that actually comes back and flows back to you, even from a personal satisfaction standpoint. And it sounds like from a business standpoint as well, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what's the best way, if somebody watching this or listening to this, and they're interested in what you do, what's the best way for them to reach out to you or one of your reps to get in touch and get your products and services?
So we have a Facebook group. It's Davis & Co. Designs, VIP. And then we have, of course, an Instagram, and it's just at Davis & Co. Designs. And then also our website, which is our name, davisandcodesigns.com. And you can reach us either three of those ways, really. All of our information's on our website.
Great. Is there any demographic you guys have really targeted? Is it moms? Is it women? Is it anybody out there? Or maybe tell us a little bit about who your perfect ideal customer is, Jenny.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to expand to have a few more options for men. But we do children's clothing. That's our main target. And then, of course, like I said, we do the sublimation shirt. So we can do any design that you could possibly think of. So really anyone from the age of 0 on up, we can help them out.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool. You guys are doing great things. And I can tell just from your energy and your vibe that great things are on the way as well. And Davis & Company is going to keep on moving forward, up and up. So congratulations and everything you've done since the initial start in November of last year through a pandemic and into today.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I just thought of a follow-up question. If you have another second, would be, so you mentioned one of the biggest challenges was your name, right? And figuring out what your name was. How did you guys finally decide? What was the process of that? Was it just one day picking one, or did you have some sort of intricate process on that?
So Davis is my daughter's last name. So I went with Davis because hopefully this is something that will just keep growing and I can pass down to her someday. So Davis & Co. It just had a nice ring to it. So we just kind of picked that and went with it. It was the only thing that really stuck out to me out of everything.
Well, hey, like you said earlier, you just go with your gut instinct, and that was the one, and it served you well so far. So awesome story, Jenny. Congratulations on your startup, and thanks again for sharing everything that you've done on our show.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Jenny, amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing your startup story with us. So much we can pull out of that, whether we're just in the idea phase, whether we're putting the pieces together to get started, or maybe we've already started and aren't quite sure where to go. Your story is inspiring, and we can take a lot from that. So thank you for sharing your story. If you're watching and listening to this, let's reach out. Let's go to Jenny's Facebook page. Let's go to her Instagram. Let's support local. Let's support her business and give her what she needs to continue her success. So Jenny, thank you so much for sharing. And for all you out there, thank you for supporting Jenny. Now, you don't want to miss part 2. So this was part 1. Part 2, we're going to speak with Tara Bound, who has come together with Jenny to support an amazing cause. And October is Child Loss Awareness Month. And so they have partnered together to spread that message. And Tara has an absolutely amazing story. Trust me when I say you do not want to miss that episode. So that's coming up next. If you want to hear that and get future episodes and future updates on everything we're doing through our Ideal Success series, our Ideal Startup series, the Ideal Business Academy, everything we're doing to help small business. If you want to hear future stories like this and other information, go ahead and click the link in the comments now. It will take you to our subscribe page, and you can get on our list, and we'll keep you updated on exactly what's happening out there with small business. And again, next week when we publish that new episode, you do not want to miss Tara's story. So again, thank you to Jenny. Thank you to all you listening and watching out there. We appreciate your support. Again, I'm Joe Sova with Ideal Payroll Service and the Ideal Small Biz Podcast. Thank you for your support. And as always, let's go out and let's support local.